Yep.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of
the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm getting better at it. Consider for approval minutes and agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes and agenda as presented.
I'll second it.
Motion by Derby, seconded by Jensvold to approve minutes and agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
9 a.m. public hearing for Iowa cage-free ovations farms site.
I'll make a motion to open a public hearing for the Iowa Cage-Free Ovations Farm Site.
I'll second it.
Motion by Derby, seconded by Jensvold to open the public hearing for Iowa cage-free. All in favor, say aye.
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 Public hearing is open.
Well, now you can tell us all about it. I talked to the DNR on the phone. Of course, with the avian flu, we're not allowed out there.
I spoke to
Imagine
him.
that.
I spoke to him as well.
It didn't hurt my feelings. I think I know the facility well enough over the years that I've been there enough times.
Sure. So just to reiterate, my name is Craig Rolls. I'm a veterinarian by training, and I'm here to represent the ownership group, of which I'm one of the owners on this farm. We purchased the farm last fall with the intent to essentially remove all of the existing facilities that are essentially functionally obsolete, and to rebuild these farms into a cage-free production system. This construction will occur in phases. I don't know if you have the actual phases in there, but we're essentially, this farm was originally permitted, I think, for 6 million birds. Our intent is to add 3 million cage-free birds in this particular phase.
So 6 million
Was the old permit of caged operation, and we're going to build 3 million new. So we will build only as the market gives us the signals that they're ready for product. So we will be tearing down all of the existing structures, grinding up the concrete, using that concrete for aggregate. We'll be disposing of that material in the landfills to make sure that it's properly disposed of. And then we will begin the building. These will be pre-engineered metal buildings. They're 3 stories tall. Each building holds about 500,000 birds. And then the eggs will come out. And you'll also see us building some additional processing on this farm. Terry, I talked earlier about how all of our eggs go into processed products, but this farm will, in fact, we will add a grading facility so that some of the large eggs, when you go into a grocery store, everybody wants to buy large, right? But you still get mediums and jumbos and peewees and all that kind of stuff. So we are going to separate out and pull some of the large eggs off to go into the shell market. Then the balance will go into liquid tankers as well. In addition to those buildings, we'll be adding a biosecurity building, which I put on pretty much all the farms that we've constructed. So it will be a shower in, shower out facility for employees. That building will also have a centralized kitchen in it where we're going to start serving meals as part of the incentive to try to get people to come and work for us. So assuming that we get permission from everyone, I mean, the DNR's looked at it and I had a conversation with Dan up there earlier this week, and he felt comfortable with the design and plans in that particular discussion. Our engineering firm is ISG, based here. Well, are you in Storm Lake?
Out of Storm Lake.
Yeah, so we've used Ivan and Cole and their group for a number of these projects, and we have confidence in their ability to design the structures appropriately. manure from this group, from this farm will be stored, in a separate contained manure structure. So the litter that comes out on a belt and goes up an incline and into a separate manure storage. So it's formed storage on all four sides, and it's enclosed with doors, et cetera.
So it's all.
It'll be a monoslope system, right? So the open side will be towards the barn. That takes all the water, away from that to the west.
So that's these two smaller structures there then?
Yeah, if I could. If I show you this one, you see, so these are the individual barns that'll hold birds, and this will be a manure structure here.
On all of them?
So each one of these will have a belt that goes out this way. Same way over here. So we're doing these 5 and this one. So we're doing smaller storage, and then as we add more barns, we'll add more manure storage
Okay, so there's storage on every building?
for every building. And it's calculated to last a year. So
So you
we,
won't have to have a skid loader in the basement of it?
no. This is a completely different design.
Yeah, I always wondered about
No,
that
no,
design.
And your composting is for animals?
Yeah, any mortality is composted. Any end of life mortality goes to natural recycled protein, which is a plant down on Highway 20. Basically, we enzymatically digest the birds, and they end up in Ralston Purina's dog food.
So do you plan on recycling the concrete that you'll be?
Yeah, so the concrete will be ground up into aggregate, and will be used as a base underneath the new concrete that we will pour. And it could get used on some of the road structures and that kind of thing too. It'll all be used.
So the phases then, you're taking down the west buildings and a couple on the south, east?
Yeah, we're gonna take down all the older buildings. All the older buildings are gonna go.
Okay.
And there are 4 buildings up at the top that were previously pullet barns that were converted internally to cage-free, so they're already in cage-free production. The facilities, they're okay, but if I have my druthers, I'm gonna tear those down and put newer
It looked
modern.
like they weren't gonna be there, like you guys are.
That would be the last phase, right? So we'll operate those buildings as long as makes sense.
So you'd be pretty minimal till you get the next building, so.
Yeah.
I always wondered how they sorted cage and cage-free in the operation. That seemed like-
Sure. Well, in this particular case, what you do is you run the belts at different times. But the truth of the matter is that those caged barns have been empty for some time.
Oh.
Quite a while. They've only been running cage-free there for, what, at least the last year,
Quite a while.
maybe more.
Carla, did we receive any comments for the public hearing?
Nope.
Okay. I guess, want to ask for comments online, or?
Absolutely. Is there anyone on the phone that has any comments, questions?
Is there any plans or desires to, dry eggs in the future, or are they being shipped dry, or?
No, the plans for this farm would be adding the grader to ship out shell eggs, and most likely those will go to the West Coast. And the rest of all the balance will go into liquid product that will go to further processing, like the Brit plant, if you're familiar with the processing plant in Brit, and there's other ones that we ship to as well.
So you're gonna crack eggs there then?
Yes, that's what that farm's been doing. It's been a breaking farm for further processed, and that's what we intend to continue to do. But there is some added value in those larges, right? For the graded.
So you'll see different trucks coming in to take out shelled eggs.
Yes,
I mean, when I was going to college, I came home every weekend and hauled a load of liquid egg whites from Estherville to St. Louis.
Sure.
And I would walk in that facility and watch those egg crack, and man, that's quite a process. You just can't believe it can work.
Right. You know, one thing that I would warn you about just from a county roads perspective, this is a big project. I want you to understand, there's going to be 800 containers of equipment coming from Germany in containers. 800 containers coming in.
Where are you gonna stage all of that then?
Well, it's timed, right? So you get the buildings built and then, but what I wanted to show you is that if you look at these driveways. All right, so the container trucks that bring the equipment in, we're gonna bring them in here in this northeast. This is a road that's used for manure. And we wanna get these trucks off the road and we wanna bring them in here. We're gonna build a loading dock right in here. All right, so I can pull in with my truck and just back up. I think like a truck or two, right? So these guys can come in.
You gotta make it idiot proof.
And it's actually, well, we learned this at one of the other farms where we were tearing down a building, but we had a loading dock there, so let's just leave the loading dock. So we actually took the building away and just left the elevated dock and the concrete. So what we did was, we learned that, you know, we could run onto these trucks with a forklift and get them off and just stack the equipment on the ground and come along with a telehandler and just pick it up and get it away. So we're actually gonna build that structure here because it was so efficient. So the trucks come in, back up in here, do a 180 here and then back out. This is gonna be a construction entrance here for all of the contractors coming in. You know, so we're gonna be building this way and then this one. So there's gonna be a lot of traffic coming here and a lot of traffic coming here. And we're gonna try to maintain this just for our normal operations, but it's a lot of stuff, right? And so there will be
Yeah.
traffic on this gravel road.
You have drainage back here.
Sure, and so what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to build this up a little bit. That's what That's what Cole is for.
Cole's in charge of, huh? I see this dry detention basin wasn't added, or is that already there?
No, that is an added feature, so essentially what that will do is it'll reduce any of the peak runoffs coming from the site and store them in that basin, and that will help to reduce the site's overall, I guess the total runoff will still be the same, but the peak runoff will be lower. And as far as that drainage ditch goes too, it will reduce the loading, peak loading rates that ditch sees. So, you know, I don't know if there's any problems on that ditch in the past, but if there was problems with it backing up a lot, well, this would release from at least that east side of the site, which I believe is probably about 70 acres, roughly, that would end up flowing through that detention basin, slow the release of that water to that ditch to the north. And also that'll help with the water quality, settle out any solids that may be washing off the site as well.
So like the chicken manure itself, are you guys gonna market that yourselves or?
Yeah, there's multiple options on how that's done in the past, but it will operate under a
I
200A.
used to sell some of it
Okay,
years ago, so.
yeah, so,
Back when they called it Apollo, they used to take it up to Benson, Minnesota, and then they would burn it. And then they would bring it back, and then mix it with raw manure, and they call it, by doing that, it could be classified as fertilizer rather than manure.
sure. This, there's 2 or 3 different options, right? So we have project that we're working on to, like, there's a project that we have going on near Galt right now where we physically dry the manure and we capture the gases coming off of that in a liquid end product. And that product is actually shipped to vegetables in California. Most likely this would be marketed under a 200A here locally, just like it has been. I think the big difference between cage-free manure and caged manure is that cage-free manure, because the chickens are scratching in the litter, it's drier, all right? So it stacks easier, it doesn't slough. It's a better product in my mind.
So you're gonna capture the escaping nitrogen when it's in the, because you said each one had a.
No, that's, when I say capture the nitrogen, that's when we further process it
Oh,
at this plant,
okay.
yeah.
Because that's why it smells so bad, is because it's the nitrogen escaping, if I remember right.
Well, there's odors with all farm operations, we know that. Would say this, that I'd be willing to take anybody into a cage-free barn, anytime, any day.
They smell near as
It's-
bad as
it's
the
just-
other ones.
It's drier, it's cleaner, it's dustier.
How will that affect the flies?
Well, the chickens are part of your fly control then. I would argue that we have fewer flies in a cage-free operation because
They won't eat
they're
them.
actually, they're grabbing the larva.
And the fly, if they can get a hold of it.
Yeah. I'm not saying there's no flies, but it would be, if you compare the fly control issues that you would have with an old high-rise barn compared to what we have with cage-free, they are significantly reduced in cage-free.
So with this extensive construction and removal and how can you assure us on the drainage in that ditch and that kind of stuff along there? I mean, that's,
As far as any additional sediment runoff. So there is a sediment or SWIP plan that will be implemented with this. So there'll be silt screens strategically placed to capture, create temporary ponding and drop that silt out of the water that will be occurring during construction. And then after construction is complete, we'll either establish vegetation or place that ground up old foundation that's being recycled over the top of it so that we're not seeing long-term, there's not going to be a whole bunch of exposed dirt afterwards that's going to be running off to your ditches. And then also around any of the intakes that are going in on site, we'll put a straw wattle around that too, just as an additional filter. So we'll mainly use straw wattles and silt fence to reduce any of the sediment runoff. And that will be maintained by a third-party contractor that's specifically there for SWIP.
The one thing you talk about issues with any drainage ditches or anything that we've had, the only issue we've had with a adjacent drainage ditch is the one along the road there as you come in. It's such a tight drainage ditch right up to the road.
Mhm.
We've talked about trying to mitigate that by moving it over and put more slope from the road to the bottom of the ditch.
Have some recovery in there.
Yeah, and, try to, get a better slope. So we may be talking to the company to see if there's possibility of gaining some easement there just to widen it out a little bit.
I'm sure we'd be amenable to having those discussions.
Yeah, it's not part of this agenda, but
Understood.
it was part of the reason I asked, because we
No,
have
I
discussed
get
this
it.
area.
it's not a very long distance. It's just a short distance that one's a
You
problem.
guys had
Sure.
anybody drop a car in there or anything?
No, it's more the sloughing part from the
Okay.
road.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, sure.
So you're
It's
looking
just
more from the
really
road
tight.
stability.
Traffic and
Yeah.
go pound the road a little more.
Right.
Especially if you're gonna be really, that is the road that you're talking about using
Yeah.
extensively,
So
so.
let me just say a couple things. Clearfield Farm that we had, Southwest Iowa Rural Water needed a spot for a water tower. So I sold them an acre for $1. Okay? What I'm trying to illustrate is you're gonna find us to be pretty cooperative neighbors, all right?
That's
We
good.
get it. So bring it up, we'll work together to see if we can get some of that stuff solved.
Okay, so now you
That's
say
good. Go ahead.
there's gonna be 800 trucks coming in and out of there. As far as what shape is that? Is that gravel? Because some gravel roads have more rock.
It'd be
on them
the
than
sand,
others.
it used to be the sand gravel anyway, but I don't know if they've mixed in some
Well,
limestone.
I mean, is this something where we should get ahead of it and, talk to Scott about getting some extra rock put on that thing, or is it in pretty good shape now where it's gonna be able to handle that?
Well, it might be talk to them and see, but it's not a long distance, so if it had to happen, it wouldn't take
Yeah,
long
but no.
to do.
Right. And we may be looking at the entrance on that road too. We may be coming to talk about maybe widening that entrance a little bit, just to make sure from a safety factor that we don't,
Yeah, that would be through the engineer.
yeah.
You'd be wide in the intersection there, so trucks coming in.
I just don't wanna have anybody dump a rear wheel off into a ditch.
You're talking about the one.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking
Back here,
about,
that
right there.
service.
I don't, the truth of the matter is,
area.
haven't looked at that entrance yet. I gotta go look at it.
It's not super,
It's not bad.
it's probably about 50/50 on the trucks.
Since there's been a lot of manure hauled in and out, out of there anyway. It's
Yeah.
been probably.
And those are probably side dumps, right?
Some end dumps with conveyors.
It's been a while since I've been on that gravel road. I can't remember what kind of shape it's in, whether it's,
It isn't bad. I'm on it all the time.
Okay,
We farm out in that area, so
all
I'll
right.
keep an eye on you.
Well, in an attempt to keep on schedule here, I don't see any problem with this. I'll make a motion. We'll go on to number 3, I guess.
Okay,
We gotta close the public hearing.
Okay, I'll make a motion to close the public hearing on the Iowa cage-free ovations farm site.
second
motion by Derby, seconded by Jensvold to close the public hearing for Iowa Cage-Free Operations Farm Site. All in favor?
Aye.
And we can go to 3. Consider for approval master matrix for Iowa Cage-Free Ovations Farm Site.
I'll make a motion to approve the master matrix for Iowa cage-free ovations farm site.
second it.
Motion by Derby, second by Jensvold to approve the master matrix. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, appreciate it. Take a look at that ditch and see what we can do. I mean, if that has a, yeah, I mean, if it's not a big deal, just let's see what we got.
Generally, you guys are just on the ditch, you're looking to, I think maybe a 1.5 to 1 side slope, you're looking to possibly move it away from the road to put a little bit of recovery off the road shoulder, and then going at a little bit steeper side slope. Okay.
So that's a twofold for us because we're with the road department. We work
Yep.
with the engineer, but we're also the trustees for the drainage district.
Yep,
So
Sure,
I work a lot
it's
with
two-sided.
drainage districts as well, so
Yeah.
I can check that out. So.
we'll work with you on that.
Okay,
All right,
thank you.
well, thank you guys.
You bet.
you.
Thank you,
Nice to
appreciate
meet
it.
you.
Yep, have a good day.
Well, I guess we're past 15. Consider for approval 2080 agreement between Winnebago County Sheriff's Office and the City of Forest City. Thanks for being patient.
Yeah, no problem. Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Hope we gave you an education.
Would you like us to go to, what would be number the drainage first? please?
Drainage?
No,
Yeah, we
yeah.
tried, sure.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you guys would rather sit through drainage first before you
Sure.
get out of here, so.
All righty. Well, our intent and purpose here today is basically just to do the reciprocal 2080 agreement for law enforcement services between Forest City and Winnebago County Sheriff's Office. Forest City just brought theirs up to speed a couple of weeks ago, and so we discussed this through with Kelsey, and she's behind it and whatnot. So this would just allow us, in those rare instances when we would need it to, if we have a big high-profile event going on, we might need an extra body or two, that we could have a Forest City police officer, come on board, and we'd give them $25 per hour to fill in a shift. We run into these situations, one of our guys has guard duty, gone for 2 weeks, and then his weekend a month, and then other guys have vacation and things like that. So like I said, it's not gonna be an all the time kind of a thing, but we do have it budgeted.
Just ask how many times a year does that happen?
Handful, really.
Yeah, a handful.
It's,
This is an agreement we.
In the past, we did,
Yeah.
we had an agreement that we could work for the city of Fort City,
Mhm.
but we never had an agreement that they could work for us. We just made it reciprocal
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
because that agreement was
That
coming
makes,
due.
that makes sense.
And also, when we've been sitting at the hospital, we've had inmates in the hospital. We've been struggling to find people to sit throughout the night, and that would help ease the tensions there also.
when you incur the overtime and whatnot, so, those kind of situations, so. In a nutshell, that's really it. And like I said, we thought Kelsey was gonna be here today to maybe explain anything else you might have a question on, but, you know, she's totally behind the project, so.
She's the one that drew that up.
Yeah.
So when one of their officers works for us in a fill-in need, do we just reimburse Fort City or do we pay them directly?
We pay them directly.
Yeah, we're just paying the officer, they're jumping into our vehicle.
I was just gonna ask that, do
In
they
their
use their
uniform.
vehicle or
Yep.
they use their vehicle, you said?
No, our vehicle.
Yeah.
They'll have their duty weapon that they're accustomed to and qualified on, and they'll just come over and, you know.
So do you use any other county officers anywhere else or just Forest City?
I mean, historically,
Yeah.
we worked for Forest City,
Yeah.
filled in some shifts, and like I said, we used to have this years ago where a few of the Forest City officers worked for us, so we're not reinventing the wheel, we're just bringing back what we had before and making this reciprocal agreement, so.
So do you have like an extra vehicle that they'd be using, or they'd be using the guy that's on duty, or I mean?
I would
on
anticipate that,
vacation?
you know, it's probably gonna be the guy that's off duty, you know, and he's not gonna be needing that vehicle.
Yeah,
and,
so
you know,
they'd have it accessible to
Yeah.
that guy, so.
And, you know, if they live in Forest City and it's our guy that lives in Forest City, just jump over there and grab his vehicle.
Well, I guess it's better than paying overtime wages. and
Right,
things
it's
like
cheaper
that.
than overtime.
Right, you know, and unfortunately, you know, those are things that we can't predict, you know, an inmate has to go to the hospital and, you know, we have to stand guard with them, so we're obligated to be there and, you know, and that really taxes our manpower. And of course, everything happens in pockets. It's not just one thing. It's a series of events and you have 2 or 3 things going on at once and you're really shorthanded. And so this would just help to alleviate that burden.
Forest City, their city council already approved this, you said?
Yep.
Yeah,
She signed it.
within
End of-
like the last month.
The
or-
administrator signed it already.
Oh, all right.
I think it was the end of February, maybe.
Okay.
We were waiting for Kelsey to get back before
Right.
we did it.
So why isn't Kelsey here? She just.
I don't know, we tried to reach out and contact her and it's not a court day, so I don't know.
She's been having problems. Her new baby's not been,
Oh,
so.
oh shoot.
Well, I don't see any problem with this. I think it's a good agreement.
Don't make sense to me.
It's really the path of least resistance, like I say, it's just kind of a common sense deal and just nice to have in place should we need it.
So do we want to stamp one of these, Carla?
No,
One for this.
I'll just have you stamp this one, or sign this one.
You want to make
And today is the 12th,
I'll make a motion to
April.
approve the 2080 agreement between Winnebago County Sheriff's Office and the Forest City Police Department.
I'll second it.
Motion by Gensel and seconded by Derby to approve the 28E agreement between Winnebago County Sheriff's Office and the City of Forest City. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. Thanks, guys.
You bet.
Sorry, who made the motion?
Well, he did.
I did.
I second.
Thanks for your assistance last week as well.
I tell you, drainage.
It can get exciting.
How many hours of your life have you spent on drainage?
Oh, my
All's not fair in love, war, and drainage.
Carla, we'll get the,
I'll
a
send you a
copy.
copy.
Okay.
Perfect. Thanks,
All right, have a
guys.
good day, guys.
Scott Minders. Hey, Scott, we're ready for you. Thank you. know that they had that agreement, that they shared officers like that.
Yeah, I don't remember ever,
They had it more in the past.
Yeah, 10, 12 years ago, we were using Hancock County Sheriff's deputies all the
Forest
time.
City and, yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
It was a problem back then because we were so short-staffed. Then we added a deputy, and then we added a deputy, and it's really helped a lot to limit the overtime, because we had too much overtime 10, 12 years ago.
Really?
And then just lately, we've had a lot of crazy things happen that has caused a lot of overtime. Like he said, you know, we've had officers sitting at the
I
hospital.
never thought about that, that they'd have to stay there with them.
Yeah, we've had officers sitting at the hospital a week at a time. So when you have that and then you're trying to fill positions too, and, you know, then you got somebody out on guard duty and you got, you know, it makes you pretty short-staffed pretty quick.
Interesting.
what amazes me is that the system, that once they're in jail, we have to pay all the medical expenses.
Mm-hmm.
And it just doesn't, even if they have insurance, from what I understand, once they're in jail, their insurance is evidently no good, or I just can't believe it. Doesn't seem right.
Doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
That's the way it works.
Yeah, should be changed.
I think they've been working on it with the legislature, but I think it's one of those things that we need to really talk to the legislature about. I think it's,
Because I just saw, what was it? Must have been last week's claims, there were some pretty good bills
mhm,
to the hospital for the sheriff's department.
yep.
Good morning.
Scott?
Morning.
How you doing, Scott?
Pretty good.
Good.
Did you hear us talking about you, then?
I didn't.
We're doing the cage-free project, and we talked about that drainage ditch that's right up against the road.
Uh-huh.
We'd like to put some more slope on that and move it over a little bit.
Move the road over?
Get some more, no, move the ditch over to get more slope off the road. They were very amenable, they work with us,
Oh, really?
yeah, engineer.
Are they leveling that site or something? Or?
They're gonna be using that road a lot coming up. They have
You said 800.
Freights coming from, Germany to do this project, and they're all going down that road.
Crates of what?
Supplies.
Supplies.
Building materials.
I guess I'm not familiar with the
They're
project at all.
taking 18 buildings out and replacing them with, cage-free buildings.
If this
Is it a new owner
If this is
now?
helpful, you can take this and keep it in your office. This is their
Okay, that's cool.
plan.
That's the executive summary part.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
This is the full one.
I will take it. Yeah.
just as well keep it in your office and then.
Yeah.
I really liked it, it's got nice pictures.
Yeah, I do like
So,
pictures.
yeah, we had discussion about the drainage around there and,
Okay, maybe doing some site improvements, of course, I mean, like, dirt work and stuff like that.
they're gonna recycle all of their concrete and
Yeah.
use it.
Right
Wow,
on.
it'll be a big deal, huh?
There's gonna be 800 trucks coming in on that gravel road right there that goes to the north and into
But in
Okay.
the meantime, they're not gonna be doing any we're getting very few chickens are gonna be laying eggs.
Okay.
Just 2 cage-free buildings, that's it.
I wonder if we'd have them do some work on that road too.
Well, so we were wondering.
That's what we were talking about
Need
too.
to put a little more rock on that one. I don't know. I don't know what
Yeah.
it's like right now, I haven't been on it lately.
I don't know either.
I just drove by it the other day, but I didn't pay attention.
It didn't look like a mud hole.
It
No,
normally
it
isn't.
looks like a decent gravel road, because it doesn't, a bad one catches my eye. so-
Yeah, I mean, it's fallen apart several times under their traffic, so we've had to kind of rebuild it.
And this is gonna be a real high level of traffic.
Yeah, why they gotta go to the back entrance instead of the front?
Well, because they're still gonna be using the facility from the front, so.
That and their staging areas in the back, on the north side, where they're gonna,
Well, the grain will still come in the front and then,
Loading docks in the back, they're gonna build.
Okay. See if there's any way to get more traffic to the front than the side. I mean, the front's a perfectly good concrete road and the side's level B.
mhm.
oh, that's level B to you.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
no, nothing else on that road except for that entrance and farm.
Well, there's the engineer from ISG, his card's on that one, and then,
Oh, they're working on their site plan or
it's got approved now.
ISG?
Today. And then Craig Rawls' number is on there, he's the executive CFO or whatever, or, well, what, chief
He's
operating
an owner,
officer.
yeah.
What is it, Ovation, is it Ovation Farms now or something? Or
Cage
Iowa
Free,
cage
Iowa.
free.
Cage-free?
Iowa cage free.
They're, he said they're nationwide, they're a big operation, they've done a lot of.
Wow.
Well, it does have
Not-
Ovation
not-
cage-free renovations on
not-
here.
I mean,
It does say Ovation on here, I thought I saw that.
wouldn't be surprised,
But
actually.
but I think it says doing business as Rembrandt.
Yeah.
Oh, they're still doing business as Rembrandt? Okay,
But they're gonna be doing more, shell eggs.
You know, did he say a start date though? I never really.
I forgot to ask you, I was gonna ask that.
Me too.
It'd be kinda nice if it didn't happen until the spring, this over,
My guess is it'll probably be
even though the
about
roads
May,
haven't,
June when they get
the
going.
roads haven't looked too bad so
They have to
far.
tear down a lot of buildings first.
Yeah.
And recycle them.
Oh, then there'll be trucks going out with that material too, so they're going to
That's kinda
landfill with it, so.
What they do with all that tin.
Well, I would guess that the tin would go, that would be recycled at some scrap yard or something, you would think. Because there's quite a little value to that, so,
And lots of square feet.
yes.
Okay, well, Scott, you'll have to keep an eye on that, but you're welcome to take that copy if you want.
yeah, do you guys get any updates on that through any of your other channels?
That's probably the only one we get is through the master matrix.
Yeah, okay,
But we have contact information now, so
okay,
the front page of her copy over there has Craig's phone
okay,
number on
can I
it.
get that too? Copy that? Yeah, I mean, the good part is that road serves them and about them only, so if it falls apart,
We know who did it.
hopefully, yeah, we know who did it, and hopefully, you know, we can get them to participate in the
I would
repairs.
say that your main contact would be that Craig Rawls.
Okay. Okay, maybe I can reach out to him ahead of the project too, and just kind of see
It's a good idea.
what he thinks, and try to be proactive.
Maybe
Big
it's such a thing
project.
that they would share the cost of, building it up ahead of time a little bit.
Yeah, something like that would be, I mean, something kind of like the
Probably-
wind turbine agreement, but not
Or
quite.
you can crush some concrete and put on it.
Yeah, I mean, that's true too.
Yeah,
Seems like a good option
They're
as
gonna
well.
use some of that crushed concrete as bedding underneath their footings.
Sure, sure. Okay. Well, that'll be sight to see, I guess.
big project.
Be interesting to see what that looks like when we do our flyover, if it's the old or the transition, or
The flyover's done,
is it done?
it's done.
Usually,
They did it this time again?
they
I
want to get
suppose
it,
it's easier because the
they don't
crops
want,
are,
they don't want leaves on
They
the
don't want
trees.
leaves, yeah.
yeah.
So you just sent out an email, was it yesterday?
Yeah, I think yesterday.
It'd be a much prettier picture though, with everything being green.
We just won't see anything.
Yeah,
He likes picture books.
yeah, I like pictures.
What else do you have for us?
Our guys are blading again still until the weather becomes unfavorable. We got started on a couple of smaller work orders. We got a manure crossing culvert put in and the intake repaired, I know already. So the guys have got the mini out and they're putting that thing to use. That's good to see. And a lot of frost on the ground turns out, which I think we suspected, but probably prevent us from doing anything too crazy.
How deep is the frost?
I guess within a foot of the surface, about and as thick as to the bottom of our trench we were digging with the culvert, it sounded like. So, yeah, and the road bed, which is usually thicker than anywhere else. So that's kind of what I know now. It kind of looks like our first bigger project will be, there's a 36-inch concrete pipe across the road north of the Lake Mill shop. That may need to be replaced, may need to be repaired. It's underwater and we can't tell what the problem is with it.
Is that where the ditch crosses the road?
Well, it's where,
How we replace that one?
not where the main ditch, it's a lateral,
Okay.
just south of there, maybe, I don't know, 500 feet or 1,000 feet, right at the intersection, just north of the intersection. Just kind of up and down, we can't see through it, so either it needs to be replaced or one end needs to be lowered and drained out, or I don't know. We'll just have to dig it up and see, but that one might be a full crossing with the road closure and a detour up there. Maybe in the next couple weeks we'll tear into that. See if we get some snow this weekend. All I have other than the Rice Lake thing, which I'll run through with you. So, if you remember, back in December, the board approved a storm sewer plan along Linden Lane in Rice Lake neighborhood. We thought it was a good alternative to the issue out there, which is landowners building a house and a garage addition that is in front of where a culvert dumps out into his yard. And so the two options we basically come up with was he would tie onto it and kind of snake a storm sewer through his yard and daylight it out into the lake. The alternative we went with was to bury storm sewer in the right of way and daylight it where it currently daylights, but take it in a pipe rather than over ground. And that solution looked good in a 40-foot right of way, which is what we thought we had there. The original Coupanger subdivision was platted with 30-foot right of way, and then back in the 80s, the county bought 5 more feet on both sides of the road for a total of 50 feet. However, where's the name? Dennis Schachterly has done some digging into his abstract, I assume, and found that when the county was sold that, or was signed over that right of way, the seller, I'll call him, was buying properties on contract and ultimately rescinded that contract, and so never really owned title to the property. So those easements, as I'm being advised, are void. And so we only actually have 30-foot right of way, which doesn't leave enough room to put in a storm sewer.
So that only happened, okay, so all the property there was under contract then?
Not
That
all,
time.
not all of them, but all of these in the vicinity. Like
All of these
Because it was
involved.
undeveloped at that time.
yeah, if the property was subdivided, I don't even know what year that was, 50s maybe, and it took quite a while for infill, houses to develop. Even now, there's quite a few bare lots out there, and a lot of lots have been combined in order to get bigger lots for houses and stuff like that. And even the right-of-way was owned by, owned by Dennis Rognus at some point, and then deeded over to the county, as right-of-way out there. So there's been kind of a lot of maneuvers like that.
So was there ever money involved,
It appears that the easements were just
given?
but that's my impression of the way the documents are written. I don't know that would even show up. They usually say given for $1 and maybe they had a contract off to the side that wasn't recorded or something. I don't know.
So did the county develop the roads then?
I don't know the history of the roads before they were paved in '99. I have a little bit of more recent history in the file, some correspondence and stuff back before Jim Witt was here, I think. So it'd be like 70s. So at some point, the county started to maintain the gravel roads out there. And then, in 1998 or 9, the county did some improvements to the grade. They graded the road, put some tile and storm sewer intakes out there, and, paved the road with assessments going to pay for the paving, and I think the county did the rest of the work on their own budget. But I understand, it's really hard to get a good picture of the history just from the file. So I do think this prevents us from completing the project that we talked about. On the same note, I think that we need to secure those easements before we do any other improvements out there. And whether that be paying for them or requesting they be donated, I don't know. I would think it'd be fair to have them donated, since, as far as I know, everybody assumes that 40 feet exists. I mean, most of the surveys out there show that extra 5 feet for every property too. So, real clumsy situation.
So in the meantime, he may have to do his own mitigation of getting the water diverted around and avoid.
I don't know what that looks like. We can either tell Paul Tennell, the owner downstream, that he's free to do as he wishes, or we can put on some restrictions, kind of as a right-of-way permit or something that says he needs to do certain things. I don't know if we have much benefit to gain by doing that. He'll want to at least protect his driveway investment by, doing something with it. So I think whatever he decides to do will be as good as what we tell him or close to it. I would think he'd have Jeremy Ragnes do it. He's a very level-headed, practical contractor. I would think whatever they come up with would be fine. So I'm kind of lost. This is unique, I guess.
Very unique, yeah. And you've run it past, lawyers have looked at all
Yeah,
of this.
the opinion came from Kelsey, who consulted with a real estate attorney. We didn't do it like a title search or anything, or even have his abstract. We have located the documents he referenced. So if for some reason we missed a document,
Well, I used to have an abstract out there, and I can tell you what they're saying is probably true, because the developer went belly up at some point, and that probably went through a wrench into everything.
so I wouldn't say we've been entirely thorough, but I've done some due diligence. Based on the documents that I have, we got 2 legal opinions.
Have you, you or Ethan talked out or told Paul these results?
I think we're kind of waiting on today's direction.
Well, we can't act on, we don't have an unarmed.
No, I was kind of looking for what do I put on the agenda, so we'll just put whatever we
Yeah.
want to do
But
on
I know
next
they
week.
are building, they're working right now,
That's
so
what I
it's
understand too.
eminent. He needs to know ASAP.
Looks like we're gonna have to probably rescind it. Afraid.
If we really have done our due diligence,
Otherwise,
is
we're opening
everything-
ourselves up to a lawsuit,
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
but that'll be next week on the agenda probably.
Yeah, we can do a number of things between now and 5 years from now, or whenever, we want to do some improvements out there. We can try and secure right away, whether it's voluntary or by purchasing it, or even, if you want to push it, eminent domain.
Mhm.
You hate to take that off the table until, the end. And
Which guy was against this project?
Chapterly,
Okay, and it's not the guy doing the construction.
right.
Pretty much all the other neighbors were just fine with it.
So I'm guessing if it ended up eminent domain at some point, when everybody else thought that the county owned those right-of-ways, it'd probably be okay with them, but it's the one that,
Mm-hmm.
It's everybody's benefit, I think, to have county-owned right-of-way of sufficient width out there,
And storm sewers.
yeah. And, you know, if the right-of-way was secured sometime in the future, the right-of-way was secured sometime in the future, we could, you know, maybe put in the storm sewer at that time. I just
Yeah.
hate
But-
for it to have Paul's investment on the front end
Exactly.
and make it unnecessary.
And that'll all have to be determined before you do any improvements on those roads out there.
I think that's a proper thing to do. It's kind of a trade-off, right? If the neighborhood expects the county to maintain the infrastructure, landowners, you know, need to provide the necessary right-of-way for that.
Space, yeah. I agree. Even though it's not on the agenda or anything, if you will call Paul and make sure he knows
Yep.
right
I
away.
can do that. Ethan maybe has talked to him, but if not, I'll call him today.
I've spoken with him in the last couple days as well. All right. Anything else? All right, then, number 6, Auditor's Office will discuss drainage matters.
I just have what's on the agenda.
Anything anybody has for Chris, otherwise? All right. Number 7, discuss with possible action petition for DD 11 lower main ditch continuation of cleaning from 160th to 150th.
So another landowner came in and wanted the rest of it done. And it was Tom Thompson, but he is still out of town, so Dave Albertson came and signed the petition. So it is signed. Terry's been out there, reviewed it. It does look like it's needed. So I'm going to send out a third letter to these landowners. In it, I will also put what their estimate for the whole length is. And I'll put it, I'm sorry?
Talk about to Darren.
Yes, he sent it's probably 7,400 feet and did the $3 a foot. Some outlet repairs, riprap 20 more ton, seeding for a total of 32,607. So I will do a letter for that. I'll add it all together with the others, and then I'm gonna actually write on people's letters what their portion will be for the whole length, so they know.
We need explanation in there why it is this way, because this is all that's been annexed in. This was, you know, a lot of this
Yeah.
was not in the district.
No, but
until
they already
last
know
year.
that from the annexation report.
I'm guessing there's some people that don't. That do
Well,
not
we
understand.
had hearings and letters and brought it in, and I've had no complaints so far from the first 2 letters that I've sent out.
I think
There's
that's a good
confusion.
idea to put their dollar amount right on there so that they're not, I mean, that's gonna save you a lot of phone calls. And
Right, it'll take me a while, because there's a lot of
how many
people
are there?
Last letter I sent, 82 letters. So, and that's, you know, multiple people have multiple parcels.
Yeah.
But anybody that has called to get their estimate has not been upset with it, realize it needs to be done. I just feel bad that it wasn't just all the way done.
Right from the start.
Yeah. And Larson's called this morning, they're gonna get everything mobilized today.
Oh,
So
really?
they may start tomorrow, but depending on the weather, it happens today.
Did the part you're talking about, 150 to 160, had been cleaned privately a couple years ago?
Well, part of it.
Part of it?
It doesn't, you look at it from the road, it doesn't look like anything. It's just kind of a meandering spillway is what it looks like.
Yeah. And I don't know how many years ago that was that Jeff did that.
He might have
It had to be
done-
within the last 5 years. So I remember seeing kind of, like it looked like dirt work had been done. The banks were, you know, scraped.
Okay.
And I remember that, but I can't remember when.
Must have been early in your tenure.
I don't think it was I think it was in the last 5 years.
Well, we've been dealing with this for at least 2 years, and he had done it before that.
Yeah. And I thought it had been a while before this. So, I don't know when it was done, but
But that's only half of it, or if that. The other half has never been touched ever.
so it may not need much through there that he did, I don't know.
So the action would be to accept the quote from,
The petition.
or accept the petition, all right? I'll make a motion to accept the petition for DD 11 Lower Main continuation of cleaning from 160th to 150th.
I'll second that. A motion by Derby and seconded by Smith to accept the petition for cleaning from 160th to 150th on DD 11 Lower Main. All in favor?
Aye.
Anything else?
I don't have anything.
So this makes a total of how many feet we're doing?
That's 7,400. Plus 1,000, so 8,400. Plus 6,200.
Okay, so about 15,000 feet.
Yeah, so I'll try to, in my letter, put what this petition is, and then all the footage together. Yeah. So I don't know if it'll go out today.
I think they'll understand better that this is a little bit larger project, but still the cost isn't that much for that much footage.
No, and I'm thankful that Larson's kept their price.
Yeah.
Well, they're happy probably just to keep going in the same areas.
Right,
Yeah, once they're there, it's,
it'll be fine, yeah.
Now, they probably don't like little projects, they like bigger projects.
all right, well, if that's all we have for in that, we'll move to open forum.
All right, thank you.
Thanks a lot, Chris.
City of Wichita,
Yeah,
watching it.
you know, that city of Fort Dodge had it around there, and it's pretty nifty what it could do. Change all the wheels and the, could even put a,
Thank you.
jetter on there or whatever. Take pictures and track lengths and map the whole thing out. So
Anything else for open forum?
Oh, I was gonna ask, do we have the room secured for those,
Yes.
public hearings? Okay.
We should review those dates again, too.
Oh, she was,
26th.
26th
26th,
at
yeah.
6 p.m. May 10th?
Third. Where is it? Yeah. I have it with me. That's on my phone. I know that.
May 17th, okay.
Carl, would that levy be a general levy? If the county did a levy for,
No, it's a,
each road?
no, it's for the whole county, but it's a separate,
Separate
It's not
levy on all properties?
yes. Sorry, when you said general, I thought you meant like general
Yeah,
basic.
I did,
and
yeah.
to the meetings,
I
Scott?
should, I've had a couple people ask me, and I'm really in the dark about it. Is there
Beyond,
another one here?
beyond number 9 yet?
No,
Open forum? We're done with open forum?
just there was just one, manure management.
Got that here.
Yep.
And then, so number 9, consider for approval auditors quarterly report.
I'll make a motion to approve the auditor's quarterly report.
I'll second it.
Motion by Derby, seconded by Jensvold to approve the auditor's quarterly report. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Consider for approval sheriff's quarterly report.
I'll make a motion to approve the sheriff's quarterly
Oh, yeah,
report.
that's right, there was that one, all right. Then I'll second it. I just haven't seen that yet, but,
It's that one-page report
yeah, no, thanks.
with the big star on it.
Yeah, it had the star on it.
Do we have a motion by Jensvold?
No, no, Derby got,
Derby
he had to do it
jumped in.
because I was in denial on whether I'd seen it or not. I second
And
it.
seconded by Jensvold. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. Consider for approval resolution for allocation of ARPA funds.
So the scanning is just for the, okay, so transfer would be in the recorder's office?
It's, that's for both of our offices.
All right.
I maybe should have asked her for better, I borrowed that wording from somebody else. I should have probably asked her for better wording, but
What's the number on the nature?
500,000.
But yes,
Is that what you,
I think we were at 495.
800,000 for the public health and 100,000 for the electronic images. So, 1.4 altogether, I guess.
Is that what you have?
I just remember the number 495 because it didn't quite get to 500 now.
Yeah, was there a reason we didn't go to
I think we added 350 to 145, was it?
another one? Yeah.
I do,
But I'm fine with that. It's just, I think in the budget though, it showed.
so in the budget, I actually only have 145 in the budget. So we're gonna have to amend the budget anyway.
Yeah, justification for the amendment, so
So it's whatever you want.
it's up to you guys.
This is a round number, or an even number, however we look at it. The other one, yeah, I do remember it being just shy of 500.
Yes, but what if costs go down?
Yeah.
I'm just joking.
You're funny.
Good luck with that one.
Scott's got some extra culverts and tile.
Definitely, projects that are
He's
running
got
shelf
enough
and ready.
money. He doesn't need any more.
Definitely don't have enough.
No, that he can, that you can
Donate.
donate is what I'm saying. He's got some
Oh.
extra laying around that we're not gonna be using, is what I'm saying.
Put them on Purple Wave.
Don't have that either. Just wondering, like, could I get like a 30-second update on where you are with ARPA funds?
You can read the
You
resolution.
can read,
Is
we'll
that
make you a
the
copy.
entirety of the decisions that
We
have
have,
been?
not all the money's been allocated, it's just certain things we talked about and we're planning on putting in the budget.
And we have, there was a deadline to get that out, some of it out, right?
800,000 towards the public health building. And 500,000 on there for the, nature center, and 100,000 for scanning of between the two offices.
Between auditors and recorders?
That's it, so far. So that'd be what,
It's 1.4.
1.4, we've got 1,008,000 some received so far, and we should be getting another amount like that coming.
So, and we will be receiving a total of,
2,016,000 some.
okay. So you-
Hopefully.
So you have about 1.4 allocated, so you got about 600,000 to find a use for, or do you have?
So the problem is at the last SEC meeting, Jamie Cashman was discussing Congress and they've been talking about not funding the second tranche. So that's the
What have we received to date?
1 point, what do I have there?
1,008,000.
It's on the very top.
I have it in the.
1 million, okay, so you,
Yeah,
On this
it's 1
sheet.
million, five.
okay, so you're assuming the second allocation will come in based on this allocation?
We've got an
Really,
overspend.
there's real merit to that? You think that's?
That's what they talked about during the last ISAC, is that Congress has been hinting that they're not gonna fund the second one.
There's the number down there.
The fact that they let it go this far is disappointing, and I'm not necessarily against that, because all of this is,
Well, we may have prioritized things differently if we didn't know that was happening.
it's,
So are we really able to do this until we know more?
I don't feel comfortable with it.
The problem is if we don't allocate something at this point, we're not gonna get any of it,
well, we
or
can
they'll
always-
make us give it back.
Can
So we either allocate,
we at least gotta allocate what we've got,
yes,
and we can later
Can we move it
rescind
around?
it or whatever, or change it.
we
to-
can do whatever, but I think we need to have something to put in the computer system that says we plan to spend this.
Yes.
And
Because otherwise, we're not gonna, they're gonna make us send it back if we don't start.
And if we
So
don't
we
get
can,
this-
we can allocate it, but if we don't spend it, then we're not out. I mean, we
Right.
can only spend what we have.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Because we'll just have to trim the 3 that are on there to represent what we have, if we don't get the second half.
And that
Right.
would be a reprioritization there.
Yeah.
But I think we have to say something now,
That's
or we're
that's
gonna
the
be in
way I
trouble.
understand
They'll give it to
so,
somebody else.
Yes. So we can just go ahead with this, and then if we have to, we'll change it later.
As long as we can change it later, and you're saying.
We
that
can change whatever we want, we just
On how
have to
we
get
spend.
something
Yeah, I
into the
get that, I
report
get that part.
so that
I'm
we
just
can,
wanting to make sure that we're not gonna have our hands tied.
no, we have to report something at this point.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution for allocation of ARPA funds.
I'll second it.
Motion by Derby, seconded by Jensvold to approve the resolution to disperse funds for the American Rescue Plan Act.
To allocate funds, not disperse.
Okay,
The tricky part will be dispersing. Allocating's easy.
so this says disbursement on it, but that's okay, right?
That we can
It
disperse.
says disbursement, it should say allocation.
Well, it says a resolution to approve disbursements of funds for the American Rescue Plan Act. And then it says the Winnebago County Board of Supervisors endorses the disbursement of American Rescue Plan Act funds for the items listed. And authorizes the auditor to make those payments as presented. If you think it needs different verbiage,
What do I think I need?
Well,
I got this from Franklin County, so
resolution to approve.
what's
disbursement.
ARPA required?
I don't know.
They're just requiring the fact that we say we're gonna use it on this.
Mhm.
They're not requiring you have to use it, so I don't know why it would say disbursement.
I'm just wondering, is there a place that we can stop after this and reassess how it's gonna be, knowing what we know eventually on the federal side of it?
Because can't disperse more than we got.
Right. I'm on my cell phone.
Is there any place in there that says available fund? Because we can only disperse what's available.
Well, maybe we could put it off for another week and I could talk to the county attorney and,
What's the timeline, the end of the month or so?
yeah, I have till April 30th.
Based on the distribution guidelines.
I think it's all just about the distribution word in there.
If we changed disbursement to allocation on this thing, on the resolution,
Well,
I think we better have a lawyer involved.
I trust another county, but I should have,
trust verify,
yep,
But we
I,
don't know how much they dispersed, and maybe they only dispersed the first half.
yeah, I don't know. I guess I made a mistake. I should have had Kelsey look at it before I,
So I'm going to rescind my motion I made, even though we haven't voted on it. I just want to stop the process.
okay.
All right, so we're gonna table the approval.
I will rescind my second.
I'll put it on the agenda again next week and then,
I mean, if what we had on here was just for the 1,005,000, then we could say disperse, but I suppose that means we've got more on there than what we've received. Better not.
I don't think so either. We'll get it clarified and then we'll,
We'd have to take
Put it on next week.
$100,000 off of it to cash flow it.
Alrighty then.
So we'll tell next week.
okay. Sorry about that.
It's all right.
consider for approval payroll claims.
By the way, are you guys got ideas for that last 600,000? If everything happens.
Discussions, but
Put your request in.
There are holes all over the place for it.
Yeah, I mean,
All kinds of,
I don't know what's more compelling than the other, but not hard to find an infrastructure project that fits that, but it's a little bit of work to put a package together and ask for funding if you guys don't really want to do that.
well, it depends on how, even if you were able to lobby your federal people enough to get it passed or not. Right now, it's probably not available.
Wonder what the rationalization was on that, for them to.
They saw what the last influx of money put into the economy and did to the inflation rate. They may be looking at that as a mistake.
flood the economy with all kinds of dollars like this, that's what's causing inflation. They're borrowing the money from the future to do this, because I'm not, I don't think that what they've done is at all what should have been done.
So do you have payroll?
All right, thanks, guys.
Thanks, Scott. Have a good day. They say this weather we're supposed to have coming up has clipped like 4 of the 5 bad weather boxes. And that's what that last December, that terrible storm that came through,
Yeah.
had 4 or 5 boxes. Click.
Yeah, it keeps, the numbers keep going up for probability. It keeps sliding to the north. Was just south of us last night, now it's more in southern Minnesota is the line, so we're more in it now.
Yeah.
So I see a claim here, it says 6 phone calls times 5, is that $5 per phone call? Okay.
Yep.
Doesn't say $5, it just says times 5.
Is that the nurses?
Yep. I think that other tranche is supposed to come within the next month or so. So then we'll know better, but we still have to get it in.
To keep what we got.
I
In the
get it.
system, probably.
Yeah. But I have till April 30th to get that in, but I just want to make sure that I word that resolution properly.
Not a problem.
And maybe I should call Jamie again about what he said about that, just to see where everything is with that. But I also talked to Jamie about the housing thing like you asked. And he said that you can do a housing incentive just for rural people. And you can do a housing, or an incentive just for rural septic systems. He said, that I should, just go out on the auditors have a thing called Base Camp that people ask questions to each other, and he said, just go out and ask if other counties have done something
I
similar.
think it has to do something with, these cities already have control of their areas, and we have control of ours. Why should we overlap with their areas? Type of thing.
So he said it is a possibility, if that's something we're interested in.
That, we need housing everywhere, but it benefits us as a county more if we can get more control.
Motion to approve the payroll claims.
I'll second it.
Motion by Jensel, seconded by Derby to approve the payroll claims. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So that,
Can I keep that with my,
I was gonna set it in the windowsill. In case we needed it again.
I'll give that one to Scott, I'll run it down to him. So, as long as we know we can revisit those allocations, I guess that's just my big deal. You know, I just wanna make sure
As long as we
that
have a stop control, that we don't spend more than we
Well, and possibly where those funds are being used.
Well, if we don't get a
Because if
second
that's all
allocation,
we-
we're gonna have to trim back
Absolutely.
400,000.
Well, and maybe we'll reprioritize.
That might be something we want to discuss next week, would be to discuss in the event, how
Exactly,
are we going to allocate?
exactly. I think so too.
So we should add that to the agenda now then.
Yeah, can you add that to the agenda? Also, next week, I'd like to discuss the formation of the advisory committee, what type of, not necessarily who's on it, but what type of structure we're gonna look at. Just going forward, it'd be nice to have some of those parameters in place and the type of people we are looking for and how it's going to be distributed in the county. What numbers of, 5 is it, 10 is it, 15 is it, what is it, Sometimes a big group requires a big meeting, may not be beneficial.
That's right.
You know,
So if we can
Look
get
at
that
what
on
you
the,
can, it'd be simple to have the meetings in here unless it's at night, a lot of people probably work, so.
Yeah, I would guess it has to be in the evening, so that way I'd make some meeting place available at that time. We're gonna have the meetings like,
And it's not we, it'll be, what, one supervisor on it? I'm
yeah,
assuming?
which supervisor, we
Yeah.
need to figure that out as well.
but should we make the meetings like we can, I don't know if we can get the Thompson Library, that would be a central location for everybody, the Thompson Library.
Something could be
If
worked
that's
out.
available in the evenings or have, if we're gonna have multiple meetings, have one in
It's gonna have to probably be someplace that allows for internet access, because there's gonna be research going on during the meeting.
There is.
When are those meetings at night? I don't know that I put them on the agenda.
They'd have been the meeting minutes from when we were in Forest City at the NSB.
April 26th at 6 PM NSB. May 10th, 6 PM
That's the public hearings.
NSB. I'm just trying to read off the,
And then the 17th was the actual possible approval of,
vote on EMS.
you know,
May 17th, board meeting.
find it in the minutes, huh?
I didn't, but I'm gonna put it on the agenda. What time did you say? 6?
6.
All our meetings have been at 6.
And these are all at NSB,
The two of them,
the two, and then the last one is here.
right, during our regular board meeting.
Is there anything else, guys? Otherwise, we stand adjourned. Lots of stuff going on.
So it's public hearing for EMS.
Resolution, making it an essential service. Because we haven't made it an essential service, we just set the public hearings.
That's right. I've started a list of names who people have wanted, that have been wanting to be on that advisory committee.
Are we down a period?
No,